Alright, here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. But yeah, sorry for not uploading in a while. You know, things got in the way. And, it is how it is. Ah, look at me. Pretending I have people that actually watch my shit content. So anyway, I was with my grandparents for a while. And, my grandmother, pretty much your typical neocon, all day, nothing but Fox News. I think you can imagine how annoying that gets. Not that they haven't been getting better, but, As a matter of fact, I saw freaking Dave Rubin on there. And that was pretty interesting, I think you could imagine. But anyway, I couldn't help but think that, in many ways, the hosts on there, like Sean Hannity, for example, and the like, were just starting to sound more and more like SJWs. Like they had, like they were talking about this one story, Shakespeare in the Park. That's kind of been a controversy recently. And they were all like, yeah, this needs to be banned. And they were showing these people they freaking talked to, and they were all like, oh yeah, if it were Hillary Clinton, we'd be up in arms, but we're going to see this because we like watching Trump die. And I'm so like, well, yeah, that's like one fucking retard hypocrite. Move on. And I was looking at it, I'm like, isn't that what CNN does? The whole selection, whatever. I know that's what Samantha Bee was doing in my last video anyway, where I was taking the Samantha Bee challenge. As a matter of fact, I do think she has a propensity of doing that, Samantha Bee. A lot of selection and deflection in ways that are clearly very biased in trying to spin a story. Because I do vaguely remember this one time, but I digress. So anyway, and however, they did show a couple people who weren't acting like complete fucking retards, who were like, yeah, we get the moral of the story, that killing the guy in charge isn't a good idea. Just because we disagree with him and stuff. So they did show a couple people like that. But anyway, it cuts back to freaking all the hosts talking about, and they're all like, yeah, we should be getting rid of this. And then they keep trying to link it to this one shooting that that happened recently anyway. And, the one where the Republican guy was at the baseball field and playing baseball with other Republicans and Democrats, and that one guy who used to work for Bernie Sanders got freaking, had a gun and freaking shot him up. And I'm like, well, these events clearly aren't related. You're trying to create a narrative here. And it's just like freaking the feminists and SJWs with freaking the Elliot Rodger case a few years ago. Or at least that's what came to mind in my mind. It's like, no, this is not inciting violence. The moral of the story was that violence is bad. Alright? And just because it depicts something doesn't mean that it's advocating for bad things to happen. Just because people like, for example, Sargon were all like, yeah, feminism sucks and is cancer. That didn't necessarily... Well, no, not necessarily. Just not... That did not freaking cause that one lunatic to go around and freaking shoot people. But all that aside, my point is that the right is acting like a bunch of social authoritarians. And it's absolutely bananas. And it's just, so then So then freaking my grandma, she's all like, oh yeah, come 2018, we're gonna get rid of all these people, freaking Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi. And I'm like, no you're not. Hate to break it to you, but those people live in California, freaking liberal stronghold. And they've probably been in office for longer than I've been alive. As a matter of fact, tell you what, let's look. I found this article here. It has a list of people who've been in office for more than 20 years. Alright, let's see here. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna mention the people worth mentioning here in general too. Let's see. John McCain since 1987. That's older than fucking me. Let's see. Maxine Waters since 1991. Again, older than fucking me. Let's see, who else? Nancy Pelosi, 1987. Older than fucking me. That's how long she's been in office. Longer than I've been alive. As a matter of fact, all the people I've read there, longer than I've been alive. Alright, and it's ridiculous. And my point is, they live in California, this liberal stronghold. I hate to break it to you, unless some other Democrat runs against them that's super hip and young, like freaking Bernie Sanders was. And even then, I hate Bernie Sanders because he was a fucking commie. Then you're not going to get rid of these establishment corporatist Democrats. You're not. That's just not going to happen. No matter what, you're going to have a Democrat come up and win that spot. Because it's California. That's just demographics. So a little later, I'm taking this Facebook poll on do you approve of the president? Strongly approve, somewhat approve, disapprove, strongly disapprove, you know. You know the gist. So I'm like, a little bit, somewhat. And then my grandmother was all like, oh, why only somewhat? And I was like, well, first off, I'm not a fan of how he handled the Syria situation, for example. I feel like he rushed in there without all the information together and acted like a dumbass. And then she was all like, well, yeah, but Assad was like a real bad guy, and it's glad we bombed it. And I was all like, no. Why would Assad use chemical weapons on his own people like that, in that way? All that would do is lend credence to people like Trump to go and bomb him. Makes no sense, tactically speaking. He may be a psychopath, but he's not a fucking moron. And my point is, you know, it just doesn't make any sense. It's clearly so then frickin' she's like, nah, you're wrong. And looks at me with that face, you know that face that freaking ideologues make when you've just like proved them wrong, but they just refuse to accept it. You know the one where they have freaking their lips like tightly closed together and spread out. And they're just like, nah. So anyway, a little later, a story comes on about freaking Mark Ruffalo and how he's all like, oh yeah, white people shouldn't have jobs and stuff. and blah blah blah. White people suck. And it's all like, well, who cares? Yeah, he's a dumbass and a hypocrite. And a freaking bourgeois champagne socialist. Ah, God. Champagne socialist. There we go. Ah, God. That was. So anyway, and my point is, who cares? This is just a distraction from whatever's really going on. You know, from big and important shit. You know, news. And it's very 1984 in that aspect. And I'm all like, isn't this what CNN does? Because that's why I hate CNN. Because they're Orwellian and they cover up big and important stuff by talking about fucking Harambe and shit. Ah, rest in pieces, Harambe. I forget what was going on in the middle of freaking Harambe. Something was going on while they were spouting on about Harambe. Oh yeah, DNC bullshit. That's right. You know, WikiLeaks, the thing they refused to cover. Instead talked about how Trump freaking eats with a fork and a knife. And it's like, who cares? And I'm like, this is exactly what Fox is doing when they freaking air this story about Mark Ruffalo being a dumbass. Nobody cares. And we know that's his opinion because he's a fucking liberal celebrity in Hollywood, and that's the same fucking opinion all of them have. It's the same one. They never have a never in any way do their beliefs vary at all. They live in an echo chamber. They live in this massive echo chamber, and they're just like, yeah, freaking black people, right? They are kangs and shit. We should give them all the jobs. Because they're obviously better than Whitey over here. And that's another thing. The fucking identity politics. I know that it's freaking the left that was doing that. But in the same way. But in much the same way, it's freaking, oh god, I got a little distracted here. But in much the same way, it feels like the right is fighting back with identity politics of its own. And granted, I'm not saying Fox News is guilty of that. That's more of a Richard Spencer thing, but come on. You know? Because frickin' it gets annoying. You know? Because in all these ways I've expressed here, the right is becoming more and more, they're advocating for banning things they don't like. They're freaking interrupting events like they did with freaking Shakespeare in the Park. They're doing this, they're doing that. They're social authoritarianism, being Orwellian. And it's like, god damn it, all you have to do is be better than the Democrats. You don't even have to be that good. Like, if you just got rid of all those things, you'd be leagues ahead of the Democrats and beat them every single fucking time. Every single time. You would win against the Democrats. I can guarantee that right now. You would win no matter what. Because no sane person likes identity politics, likes the Orwellian distraction stuff, likes social authoritarianism. No sensible person likes those things. You know? And as a matter of fact, that's why I got on the right, because these SJWs are so terrible. You know? And freaking my grandmother was all like, oh yeah, we should boycott all his movies. And I'm like, well, you're gonna have to boycott freaking every movie. And you know what? It doesn't even matter because you don't go to the theaters anymore because you're so fucking old. You just sit here and wait till it comes on TV because you can't handle, because your freaking digestive system can't handle freaking being at the movie theater for some reason. Because you're afraid you're constantly gonna shit yourself there with the popcorn and such. Man, I feel like I'm shitting on my grandmother here. I'm sorry. And it's just like, come on. Like, really? Like, who freaking cares? Oh, God. You know? The only way they could make this worse is if they stated in a manifesto to bring back freaking fox hunting and the ivory trade. Oh, wait, that... yeah, that kind of did happen there over in Britain. And it's just like... And I guess on a worldwide perspective, it's all like, Britain, you could have beaten the freaking... your equivalent of the Democrats forever. If you hadn't been such a dumbass. And I know I'm sounding kind of bleak here, but you know, it's like, come on. Now they're winning because of you, because you were just so stupid once you got on top. You know? And freaking meanwhile over here, luckily in America, I think we still got hope. But you know, that's assuming they turn it around like right fucking now. All right? Now look, I for one do enjoy it when SJWs get a taste of their own medicine. But it can't be like this. It can't be through advocating for social authoritarianism the same way they do. Alright? If you want to get them back, just do what Bering did and freaking make them say chicks with dicks. Alright? That's how you freaking beat them. You know, with themselves, I guess. Or rather, you know, taste of their own medicine, like I said earlier. That's how you do it. Alright? By using their own things against them to the point where they're saying really stupid shit that makes them look bad. You know? That's all you have to do. And also not be social authoritarians, like I've said. And then you win. It's plain and simple as that. You know? Just look at freaking, shit, I lost my train of thought here. I was going pretty well there for a minute. You know? And I guess that's another thing. I am gonna have to talk about the VidCon stuff. Oh god, how I wish I could be there. You know, not necessarily as like a dude with a booth, but just someone who, you know, bought a ticket and went. I would just love to meet some of those guys. Some of those shitlords like Sargon. I know I'm starting to fanboy for him a bit here, but... Well, not just him. Computing Forever, too. I'd love to meet him. I don't know. I feel like his videos are very monotonous, but... Otherwise, he seems like a cool chap. Look at me sounding British. Let's see. Man, who else would be cool to meet there? Random or Cam? Yeah. Alright. Back on track. And my point is, we still have time to turn it around here in America. We can still squash them forever. But unfortunately for me, I don't think that's still going to change much. Because at the end of the day, freaking no matter who we have in charge, freaking we move up into this Orwellian and authoritarian nightmare. Just up and up and up into it. Right into totalitarianism. Just look at Bush, and then Obama, and then Trump. Granted, Trump is a lot better than Hillary Clinton would have been. But at the end of the day, he's probably still gonna friggin' advance the surveillance state. In spite of the fact that Obama was spying on him. He's probably still gonna do this and that. And even then, like, again, he has more of a connection to the common folk than Hillary does, but that's still not saying much. You know, he's a freaking billionaire. When was the last time someone like, again, my Lord and Savior, Andrew Jackson freaking won? Freaking, he was a nobody orphan when he became president. When will we see someone like that again? Alright, and granted, in a lot of ways, Trump is like Andrew Jackson in terms of the fact that he's very inflammatory and pisses all the right people off. But still, you know? Like, no matter what, it seems like the lizard people freaking kill the guy and replace him with a lizard person. And I know, look, it's metaphorical. But, you know, it seems like no matter what, whoever we put in charge becomes freaking this cold-blooded, snake-eyed, forked-tongued, just not in any way able to relate with the common folk, just thing. No matter fucking what. And I guess that's where I'm gonna leave this off. You know? Because it is frustrating, you know. Yeah. Rand Paul 2020.